Kia ora YouTube whānau, my name's Rick and this is Rick the Maker. So today I'm going to be doing a bone carving. I've got some ones here that I've drawn up, just sketched out pretty much. I'm actually going to do this one today. And then I'm going to work my way through and do these ones as other videos for you guys. So if you guys want to see those, just subscribe and click the bell icon on so that you guys can get notifications when I upload and stuff. But today I'm going to start with this one. First things first, I've got to see if I can find myself a bit of bone. I've got quite a bit of bone here that I use. Usually tend to process quite a lot at once, and then I've always got a bit of a stash sitting around. I've got all my offcuts and everything here that I actually use for the little things. Got some greenstone in here that I'll do at some point. I just haven't got a greenstone set up just yet. Looking through, there's always pieces in here. But first thing you want to do whenever you're looking for a bit of bone for carving is you want to see how thick your bone is. So if I'm looking at this here, I know that I want to make my bone carving quite thick. So I need to make sure that I'm pretty much there. Like that's pretty much what I'm going to be using out of this, and then the carving is going to be in this. And then I'll end up with quite a bigger piece here, which is quite good because I'll be able to use that for other stuff. So yeah, I'll have a look through here and I'll see what I can find. I'll probably end up using this piece for this one here. It's going to be quite good. I'm going to go through, I'll show you guys the bits that I use as I swap them out. I'll just slow the video down if I'm doing a time lapse and stuff like that, and I'll show you guys what I'm doing. And yeah, I'll just talk you guys through my process and how I do it all. Yeah, so let's get into it. Cool, now that I've got that, it pretty much gives me a general idea of how I want to cut this, because I want to come through here and cut it out around here. It just gives me an idea of where the carving is sitting inside the bone. So yeah, I'll start cutting that out and then we'll get a general idea of the shape and everything. It's obviously not exactly the same as this one here. This is just giving me an idea, so yeah, get to carving. Cool, now that we've got that all sorted, this is all ready to roll, ready to start like actually getting into the carving part of it all. I'm going to use my Dremel Model 732 to pretty much get this all sorted out. I'm going to be pretty much doing the whole thing with that, apart from obviously polishing and sanding and stuff. But I'll show you guys what it looks like. I've just got this here. So it's this here, it's got an on-off switch on it. And there's a flex shaft attached to it, and I've actually got two of these here. I've actually got two. I've got this one here, which I mainly use for like sanding and all that kind of stuff and taking out a lot of material, and then I've got a skinnier one here which I use for a lot of my finer stuff. It's quite good because it's about the size of like pretty much a thick pen, but it's quite good having this one here as well. They just interchange by undoing it here and it just pops off. And then this Dremel here, the good thing about this one I've found is it's actually got a foot pedal. The best thing about this foot pedal is I'm able to control everything. I can have it go slow, I can speed it up just by pushing the foot pedal. It's really good. It just gives you so much more control, really. You can get Dremels similar to this one. I know that there are quite a few out there. It's pretty much one of those things, the more you pay the better quality one you're going to get. This one here I've had for probably going on 12 years now. It's one of those things that as long as you look after it, keep it oiled, all that kind of stuff, they tend to last a really long time as long as you look after them. So yeah, we'll get into that. These are all the bits that I'm using. I've got a lot of different bits here. These are pretty much polishing ones, all that kind of stuff. These are diamond ones that I actually use for greenstone. I've got all these different bits here, like there's ones, this is probably one of my favourite ones to use. You'll probably see me use this one quite a bit. We've also got different types here. I've got ball ones, heaps of different types. It's one of those things, like you're better off paying, like when you get started, get yourself a cheaper set, like a big cheaper set. I actually got this Hikoki set a while ago because I needed like 3 bits out of it, and I thought, bugger it, I'm going to get the whole set, and then I get a whole bunch of other things with it as well. This was probably around about $120 New Zealand. It does seem like a lot of money, but you do get a lot in it. Most of the bits that were in these are now in here. But these are all diamond bits along the top here. You got drum bits. Got all these are good for metal. If you're doing a bit of stuff with metal, a lot of the stuff that I do, like if I'm making jigs and stuff for at home in the garage and stuff, I'll actually use these to grind down metal and stuff like that. You got a drawer here, which had a lot of the polishing stuff in it. There's some discs there, cutting discs for metal. There's another side on here, which has a bunch of drums in it. Now drums, usually I've actually got this here. I will buy my drums, my sanding drums, off of like say AliExpress, and I'll get a pack of like 100 of them. And it's usually about $5, which is good because I mean, even if half of them just don't work at all, the other half definitely makes up for it. And then there's a drawer at the front here that has just some other stuff in it, pretty much like this is some polishing compound. There's a bit of polishing compound in here. Actually, it only comes with one, but I had a couple. These are cutting discs. I don't usually use these too much. That's why I've got so many of them, mainly because of the fact that I haven't done greenstone for a little bit, because I haven't had the setup to do it. I've got some cutting wheels here. They're just like pretty much miniature circular saw blades type thing. They're really good for if you're wanting to cut straight lines. I've got just some little sanding discs here. I don't actually use those. I tend to use this more for stuff like that. This is just a bit that goes into my Dremel. It's got Velcro on the end there, and then there's just Velcro pads, different sanding grits that go onto it. Incredibly handy, that thing. But yeah, so other than that, I mean, if you guys are looking at getting into it, if you have any questions or anything like that, just let me know in the comments. I'm happy to answer any questions you guys have at all. I'm going to be needing a little bit of bone in a bit. I'm going to do a processing video to show you guys how I process the bone. I just get the bone from usually the butcher. The butcher's the best place to get bone and stuff like that. I get it from the butcher because it's cheap. Usually they'll just sell packs that have like dog bones and stuff like that, just for people to give to their dogs. I find it quite good being able to just buy those, and then usually it's like $2 for 3 good bits of bone, and yeah. But yeah, so after me waffling on for so long, how about we get into some carving? Almost forgot one of the most important things. This here, incredibly important if you're doing bone carving or anything like that. Bone dust isn't very good for you at all, so it definitely pays to have a good respirator on you. If you want, you can obviously use like the cheaper ones and all that kind of stuff, but you will need to swap them out every so often because they will get gunked up because bone dust is so fine. That's the only annoying thing. That's why I got one of these. Definitely helps a lot, and eye protection is a big one. Doesn't really matter too much about what eye protection. You could get the cheaper stuff. You're not going to have any big chunks or anything flying at your eyes. If anything, it'll just be like small pieces, and they're not really going to get through like even a cheaper set of safety glasses. Good thing about getting a good pair of safety glasses though is they're 99% of the time a lot more comfortable than the cheap ones. But yeah, I mean, it's really up to whatever you guys want to get. I mean, I've been using this for years now. Swap out the filters on them every like 6 months or so. I haven't been doing a lot of bone carving lately. I've been doing a lot of other stuff like fixing up stuff around the house and all that kind of stuff, but yeah, it's definitely a good idea to get yourself a good respirator. If you can smell the bone, you're breathing in the bone, so get yourself a good respirator. Alrighty, now we're at this point. It's pretty much a good point to be able to see what you're working with. I know there's definitely enough thickness in the middle there. It's a little bit thin on this side here, but I'm going to be able to round that a little bit, which is going to make it transition a lot nicer. I'm actually going to be, if you see in this picture here, this stuff down here, I was just going to do a design into the bone, but I'm actually wondering whether I put some paua into it. So I'm thinking that'd probably look quite nice. Now what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to use this bit here, which just has this cutter on the end of it. It's a bit hard for you guys to see here. I'll zoom in a bit so you guys can see. So that's got that cutter on it there. It's pretty much just really good for doing like straight lines and stuff like that. And I'm actually going to be using this to get, it's probably about 1.5 mil, 2 mil. And I'm actually going to be using that to cut through here. It's going to make it a bit easier. I'm going to probably go into the middle and just work my way out slowly. You can use likes of like a scroll saw. I've actually got a scroll saw. You can use a scroll saw. You could use even just a coping saw, just like this one here. Could use this here to hog out the middle there. I do have this bit and I enjoy using this bit for it. I have a lot more control with this using the Dremel. So I'm going to hog out in there, work my way up, and then once I've done that and I've got the general shape to a point where I want it, I'm going to start to smooth out this top surface. So the reason I did that back surface like that is because I know that I want at least that to be nice and flat for when I'm working on it, so that if I do need to do something I can hold it down and it's not going to rock anywhere. It's the most annoying thing with doing stuff like this is if you've put it down, say I'm working on this side, and I'm doing this and I'm going into there and then I come this way and it rocks. It's very annoying when it does that. So I usually do a flat surface on the back of it, unless of course I don't have the ability to do that because the bone won't allow me to do it. Because say the bone has got a bit of a hoop in the back of it here. If it's got a bit of a hoop in the back, I'll actually just leave it the way it is, and I'll usually actually grab a hot glue gun and just lather the back with hot glue. I'll grab something flat like this and just squish it down flat, and then that will give me the flat spot. And then obviously after I finish doing the front and all that kind of stuff, I can peel the hot glue off and work on the back. So yeah, I'll start doing this. I'll hog out this, get all this stuff out of here, get this one out of here, and then I'll bring you guys back and let you know what the next point is. Yeah, here we go. Finally got it hogged out a bit on the inside there, coming up around, and got a start on the hole down the bottom here. Now what I'm actually going to do is I'm actually going to switch it up a little bit, and I'm going to actually start cleaning this face. Now that this has got its general shape down, we're going to be able to clean this off, get most of the pencil off it, all that kind of stuff. Now the reason I've got quite a big gap in here, I don't usually do as big a gap as that, but the reason I've got a big gap is I'm actually going to wrap this, like the picture, I'm actually going to wrap it with the cordage around like this, coming up to the point here. So that's why I've had to make that a bit bigger. Otherwise, if you make it too small, it just looks really small once you wrap it. So I've got to take a little bit off this edge here, this round edge on the inside here, just to clean that up a little bit. I'm going to look through my bits and I'll find a bit that I'm going to use for it. I'll obviously bring you guys and show you guys what bit I use for it. For all of this hogging, by the way, I just used this bit. Just this one here. That's all I used for the hogging out and everything. Like I said before, it's just a lot easier. It takes a little bit longer than say using a scroll saw or stuff like that, and getting all that in there and getting around. You've got to remove a lot more material. But because I have the downdraft table here that I made out of a old out of a old range hood. It just makes life a lot easier. I don't have to worry too much about the dust. There is a little bit of dust around. Every time I stop doing this stuff, I actually stop for a couple of minutes and just allow this to pull as much of the air out before I take my respirator off. As much of the dust out of the ear. Because obviously I've got to take it off to talk, otherwise I sound like Darth Vader when I'm talking, so you can't really have that. You guys be able to understand me, what I'm saying and everything. So I'll just clean up these inside edges here first before I do the face. It's going to be a lot easier for me to see the right angle to do with it just a little bit thicker. Now I'll be able to do all that. Sorry for the coughing and stuff, or the clearing my throat every so often. I had COVID a couple of weeks and this throat just does not want to come right. So yeah, we'll get into that. Probably for the inside of the circle, I'll actually probably use a slightly bigger bit. But for these cleaning up situations and all that kind of stuff, I actually do go with the diamond bits. It just makes it a lot easier when I'm coming to sanding. It does take off less material than if I'm not using a diamond bit. If I'm using, say, like this bit here, if I used that bit there, it would remove more material, make it a bit faster, but it does make it a bit harder when you come to sanding and all that kind of stuff. So I do tend to use diamond bits for cleaning up, and because you're removing less material, it's actually a bit easier for you to like pay attention to what you're doing and all that kind of stuff. You're not going to make a mistake as easily. For a carving I am going to do in the future, I'm actually going to make sure that I do make a mistake on it so that I can show you guys what I do to rectify the mistake. I don't fix it, I actually just adapt to the mistake. Just makes life a lot easier. For the inside edge, I'm probably going to actually be using this one here, this diamond bit. It's a smaller diamond bit, and the thing I do like about this is it's actually not thicker than the bit of bone that I'm working on. So I'm going to be able to clean up this inside edge, flip it over, and then come back and match it up on this side. It just means that if I'm coming in this way, this is straight. If I end up doing it straight away and it's angled, I'm not going to be able to fix it if it goes all the way through. I'm going to end up removing more material than I want to. Whereas doing it this way, it just makes it a bit easier to clean it up. I might actually go the whole, I think I'll be able to go the whole way around with this one too, which will be quite good. I've also got this one here, which has a slight, ever so slight taper to it, going to the shaft, which is quite good for doing this kind of thing, because you can have a slight angle. It's a bit easier to see in there if you've got a slight taper to it. But other than that, yeah, I will probably eventually come back and probably use something like this, which has the opposite taper. Taper goes to the point. And that just means that I'm able to just clean it up just that little bit more. Obviously, the bigger, like the wider your bit is, the faster it's going to be going. The reason I like using stuff that has a taper to like do the very fine cleaning up is because if I just want to take a little bit, I can just pull it out, and this part here will be spinning slower than this part here. It just means you have a bit more control, really. So yeah, we'll get into that. I'll probably start off with this bit here, and then we'll work through and I'll show you guys the bits as I'm going. So yeah, let's go. Okay, got that all sorted now. So now it's just a matter of cleaning up the face. We'll just clean that up. I'll probably just use this for the cleanup of the face, just to get it to a point where I want it. And I'm going to round the back edge a little bit. And then what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to take this bit here, and I'm actually going to probably come this way with it, and I'm going to put a slight bevel on it inwards, and then the same with all around here. It's nice to have a bit of a bevel on it. It just makes it look a little bit sharper, and I'm going to probably do the same thing around here as well, and then I'll just copy that onto the back, do the same on the back as well. And then this will come around, pretty much just a bit of a round around here. So this bottom piece is quite fat down here, so I'll end up probably bringing it all around to about here, and it'll come around like that. So that's all going to curve in a little bit. And then just do the angles the same on this side as well. That way, if it does like roll over and stuff like that, it still looks nice from the other side. Just have this beveled all the way around here. Bit of a bevel here, bit of a round as well. And the same with along here. And just clean it up and just get it looking a bit nicer. So yeah. So like I said, I'll probably primarily be using this bit here, just to like clean up the face and all that kind of stuff. It's just a sanding drum, so just be using that. But for the inside edges and getting these bevels on it, I'll probably be using this one here, because it's got the bevel on each edge and it flares out. It's a lot easier for me, rather than doing it like having to have it on quite a bit of an angle. I'm actually going to be able to just have it flat, and it's going to do an angle for me anyway, and then I can just adjust from there. So yeah, do a bevel there, get a nice bevel around the inside edges and this front edge of the hook here, and then clean all this up around here. So yeah, let's get into it. Alrighty, there we go. Now that we're at this point, I'm going to probably get some files out and start cleaning it up a bit and just getting it a bit more uniform, because as you can see, if you look at the side there, you can see there's like the ribs on the inside edge here, and like the face is a bit off as well, just stuff like that. That's the good thing about using files, is they flatten it out quite a lot. It's easier to like get the transitions and all that kind of stuff between the two sections. So if I show you this here, if I go like this and just file this off for a little bit, it doesn't take long to do these filings and all that kind of stuff. Pretty much just want to get it to a point where it's all uniform, and as you're filing you can actually follow the curves rather than having to worry about trying to keep the Dremel straight and all that kind of stuff. If I just do that and go along there, just going to make that a lot more uniform along that edge. Like, it's so uniform that you can't even see any bumps really in it. So yeah, so I'll get on pattern doing that, and then I'll bring you guys back. I still want to do the greenstone. So the paua shell is probably going to be around here like this, and I'll just do a bit of paua like that. I've got quite a little stash, got a bit of a stash here of paua that I'll be able to choose a bit out of. Just got a couple of containers here that I use, a couple of bits here. I'll be able to find a piece in there that'll work quite nicely. So yeah, I'll get onto that. I'll do the filing and stuff. I'll probably just breeze through it for you guys. You guys don't want to see me file every little bit of it, so yeah. Yeah, I'm quite happy with that shape now. Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to look at doing this paua in here. The reason I do the paua at this point is because I don't want to get to a point where I go so far through, I get all these cleaned up and all this kind of stuff and get all this cleaned up. I mean, there's no point, because I'm going to have to clean this up again after I've done the paua, so might as well do that after the fact. So what I'm thinking of doing is just having a bit of a curve through here, like this, of paua. Now there's heaps of different ways that you could get rid of that. I mean, most of the time I will actually use this bit here, and I'll cut in there and I'll just curve around, and then I'll flatten out the inside, the bottom pieces again, and I'll actually use a bit, like, use the paua, put the paua against it and actually just slowly work my way to get that curve and then glue the paua in place. So I'll just cut along here, curve around here like this, get it to the depth that I want it, and then I'll actually turn this straight up, hollow out, like get rid of as much as I can like that, and then I'll actually come back with the files and just use the files to clean that up on the inside of there, just like that. Yeah, so I'll get on to that. Yeah, bring you guys back once I'm at a point that I'll need to sort out the paua. Alrighty, now I'm at this point, I've got that taken out there, so all I've got to do now is try to find a piece of paua that's going to fit in there quite nicely. So you can see there's a bit of a step in there, just got to find a piece. Got a whole bunch here, I'm probably going to work through. Honestly, probably my first one is not going to work properly, so I'll need to find another one kind of thing. It's not very often that the first piece of paua that I pick up and start working on is actually the one that I'm going to use. I mean, this one looks quite good. I might try this one out, but we'll see how we go. I've got a whole bunch in here, so... Oh, there we go, that might be the one there. Right on the money. Cool. Well, I'll get into that, and I'll bring you guys back once I finish. Alrighty, there we go. Now it's just a matter of gluing that in there. Obviously have not glued it yet, but got that lined up pretty nicely there. And that back edge is pretty nice as well. So now I'm not too worried about these holes. I actually kind of like it every so often if there's the dots and stuff, because it just brings out and shows like the actual piece of paua. It also makes it so that no two pieces are exactly the same, which I really like. I use this here to glue. It's pretty much just cyanoacrylate glue or just super glue and an activator. Probably won't use the activator for this until I've actually got a bit of a clamp on it and all that kind of stuff just to hold it. So yeah. There we go. So I've got that glued on there. I left it for about 5 minutes or so. It's not coming off. It's definitely stuck on there. Now I'll usually do it this way, where I'll grab a piece, I'll get it to the right shape and I'll fit it in and actually have it extending over everywhere. And that way I can actually just trim it down and just grind it down until it gets to the right shape that I want it to be. Just makes life a lot easier doing it that way. I do it a lot with the timber that I do as well. When I put timber into carvings, I'll put a lot of natural like rimu and stuff like that that'll actually put into it. So yeah, it's going to look quite nice having that in there. Just that curve, that ever so slight curve. I hate having straight lines when I'm doing carvings. The only time I'll do straight lines is if, say, there's like there's a bit of whalebone here. Just with stuff like this pendant. So it's just straight lines down, top, bottom, and then the slight curve at the top. So those are when I find that straight lines look quite nice, is when you're doing stuff like that. But if ever I'm doing like hooks, or even like all of these here, I don't think there's a single straight line in any of these. So yeah, just like it looks a lot nicer, just flows a lot better as well. So yeah, I'll start grinding that up and clean that up, and I'll bring you guys back when I'm all done there. Who's the egg that forgot to press record? That would be me. I've got this here, so I just cleaned that up. I just matched it up pretty much with all the lines that I had around the edge and all that kind of stuff. It is overhanging just a little bit because I like to come back and hit it with the file. Just makes it transition a bit nicer into it, and I don't want to touch this with this drum bit because that's going to change the shape straight away. So I usually just work my way around, just lightly hitting it. Just check it every so often. There we go, that's good. That one's there. You can usually tell by the sound when you actually hit, because when you're hitting it without actually having a piece supporting it behind it, it makes more of a flick noise when you're grinding it. See, like that? And then once you get it to the edge, it's a bit deeper. So yeah, there's that. We can check what it's going to look like. It's all polished up. That's it there. So yeah, now it's pretty much just a matter of just filing, sanding, all that fun stuff. And then once that's all done, it's polishing it up. So yeah, I'll get into that, and then once I've finished all that kind of stuff, we'll string it up and you guys will see the end product. I'm not going to take you guys through all of the sanding and all of the filing and all that kind of stuff. The filing's pretty simple. I mean, I'll usually just take a file, just transition this quite nicely, get it to match up the whole way around so that you don't have any lumps or anything. Same with the inside edges. I've got some round ones. Every so often, if I need to, I'll actually hit it with my diamond bits because they tend to sand quite well. But yeah, other than that, yeah. So I'll bring you guys back once I've done all that. Okay, so that's all filed to where I want it. Now I've just got to sand it. Now the main thing with sanding is, like, if you've got sharp edges like around in here, you've got a sharp edge there, sharp edge there. The main thing when you're sanding it is to make sure that you try not to round those too much. I mean, sometimes it does look good if you have them rounded and all that kind of stuff, but I want to keep those kind of square. So the best way to do that, amazingly enough, is actually just with a little thin strip of sandpaper. So what I'll actually do is I will just cut strips like this, just a thin strip of sandpaper, and I'll actually just run it through back and forward. Now when I'm sanding, I actually do use a little clamp. I've got a clamp over here that I'll show you guys quick. Well, it's more like a little mini vise, but I've got this here that I actually use. This is my mini vise that I use for my sanding and all that kind of stuff. So I'll hook it up onto this. I'll set the camera up so you guys can have a quick look, and then I'll start sanding away. Okay, there we go. Now we're here. Pretty much just a matter now of just cleaning it up, sanding it a bit, and I'm probably going to use this here just to clean it up. I mean, this bit here is a bit spongy. It's actually quite stiff, but it is good in a way as well because it means I can do flat areas quite nicely. These are the sanding discs that I use for it. As you can see, it goes all the way from 80 And I think I've got some here that are about 600. I don't have to go that far, but I tend to just touch it up a little bit with them. I'm not going to start with 80 because I've just spent all that time sanding. So I'm probably going to go here for, I think these are 120. No, sorry, 220. So I'm going to go for these ones here. And then I'll probably go into the 600s, and it'll just start to polish it up and just make the polishing of it a lot easier. Cool. Already got a bit of a shine on that. Now to polish. Alrighty, there we go. We're all done. Now I've just got to string it up and she's ready to roll. The paua's come out quite nice, I must say. All nice and polished up. Cool. So I'll probably be putting some photos on. You guys can have a look. Thanks heaps for watching. If you guys want to see any other videos like this and stuff, please subscribe and hit that bell icon, because I do put some out. I haven't put out much lately. I've been sorting stuff out and obviously got COVID and all that kind of stuff, but as you know, I've got a few that I want to do now, so I'm going to be doing some more videos for you guys. My next video I put out's actually going to be a dining table that I made out of pallet wood. So if you guys are interested in seeing that, leave a like on the video if you liked it. Share it to anybody you think might want to see it. I mean, it's one of those things that pretty much anybody can do bone carving, so if you think there's somebody that might be interested in learning how to do it, just flick them my way. And yeah, have a good one. Ka kite.